I'm Jade. So today we're going to be continuing to work on our hips, opening our hips up. So today we're going to work on the front hip flexors, which are these guys right here. So it's these right here, right in the front underneath the hip bone. And what they do is bring your knee up towards your chest. So we're going to work on opening those guys up. We have, a group of muscles in there, a group of tissues in there. We have the iliopsoas, we have the psoas major, which connects to the back, right? So we may feel a little bit of back pain. It could be because this is just overworked, or there's some issues going on in there. We have the rector femoris, we have the serratorius, we have the TFL, which is part of the abductors. And so just know that we have all these little tissues and muscles in there, but all parts of the hips are all connected. So the adductors, which is the inside, work to also contract the hip flexors here. So it's not just one group that's working here, okay? So just make sure that you take the time to work all the areas, stretch it all out, because they are all connected. Also too, what you may notice is that you may spend the time to open this up and you're like, I spent all my time and okay, I'm stretching every day, I'm doing my myofascial, release and all this stuff, and I still feel pain. So what's going on? What may be going on is maybe your abductors over here on the side may be working, or they may be a little bit weak. And so what we need to do is work on those and then do maybe some strengthening exercises, which I will have as well, a video on that, and strengthen those. And so that way then we're not overworking our hip flexors, okay? So there's different things. And also too, those may be sore. The abductors, if they're sore, maybe these hip flexors need to strengthen up a little bit. So then you would do strengthening exercises for those. And so it's just kind of playing with what you have, trying to stretch everything out, and then when the stretches aren't working, then making sure that you strengthen certain areas. And so you need a balance of both. Okay, so anyway, so today we're going to work on our hip flexors, and the hip flexors, connect to the quad. And so the quad is the front of the thigh, and so we're going to open the quad up a little bit too today, okay? So it's very important that we get that as well. And so I'll show you some deep tissue, some myofascial, self-myofascial releasing. So we'll do that, and then also too a few stretches as well. I'm going to start with a few of them and just show you a way we're going to start with the more accessible and then just build our way up to the more intense way to do stuff, okay? So just a few of them just to walk you through it. And once again, I'm doing just one side today, so you can do the one side with me, and then I suggest that you go back and do the other side. So make sure that you can use my video, you can just do the same thing, rewind, do the same thing on the other side, or you just do it on your own. You could also take this time just to do it by yourself, spend some time with it, okay? So whatever you want to do. All right, so make sure that you have a few things, all right? First thing is make sure you are by a wall, because we do need a wall for the stretching, and be sure that you have some sort of a support, like a table leg, or something that you can tie up, because we need a band for our stretching today, okay? You don't need one, I'm just going to show you how to use it, but if you're going to use it, you do need something to strap this onto that's strong enough to support it, because we're going to put some pressure, some tension on it, okay? And strap, it doesn't matter, just make sure it's long. It doesn't matter if it's, strong, medium would be nice, or a light one. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to show you how to intensify your stretch just a little bit more. So make sure you have a strap if you want to try using this. And of course we need our foam roller, okay? My foam roller I made from PCB piping. So from Home Depot I got the piping, that's the inside here, and then I actually got drawer liners and double-sided tape, and then made just the softening on the outside. So it's a very, very thin layer of soft here, okay? It's very, very intense foam roller for me, and I'm gonna have a video on how to make this, and so that way then if you want to make one, you can, okay? So anyways, have your foam roller, it doesn't matter what type, but just something. Foam roller is a little bit less intense, it's more superficial, and so that way then we could just work it up and open it up just to prepare it for our next, which is going to be our lacrosse ball. Lacrosse ball is the best, I say in all my videos, that's what it looks like, and it's a rubber ball, okay? It's nice because it sticks to the surface, so the area of your skin, and also the surface that you're using to roll with, okay? And so it's not going to slip out from you, and you don't have to worry about that hurting you. Also too, there's a bit of give, not much, but it's enough, and so that way then you're not just hard pressure onto it, okay? And also too, it's hard enough to allow for that one-pointed pressure, which is what we want, right? We're going to do the effort, so we need to make sure that we're doing it right. And so make sure you have a lacrosse ball. If you know lacrosse ball is a little bit intense for you, and you tend to have a hard time, putting pressure with lacrosse ball, but you want to be able to use it. Also to have a blanket, And I would suggest have a blanket anyways for the stretches because we will be on the knees. So have a blanket that you can, you know, roll up or fold up, and it allows for some softness. And this way too, you can use it for your lacrosse ball, and I'll show you how. So make sure you have a towel or a blanket or some sort, just a small blanket. And maybe possibly you don't need this, but for one of the stretches you may want a block. You can also use your foam roller, but a block is really nice. So, or if you have a pillow, a bolster, grab your bolster as well. I don't have one with me today, but a bolster is really nice to get into these rolling positions, and that way then you have some comfort, okay? So grab your goodies. Again, make sure you have a wall close by, and I will meet you on your little spot that you're gonna stretch today. All right, guys, so we are gonna grab our foam roller. So go ahead and grab your foam roller and then just place it in front of you, okay? And so here I am, I'm looking at my foam roller. I'm gonna move my foam roller over to the right side just a little bit, okay? Because what I wanna do is come prone, so I'm gonna come face down and have my hip on this more left side, okay? Because I want my left body to come to the side of the foam roller, so I need some space. So all I did was move my foam roller off to the right side a little bit, and then here I'm going to come into my prone position. Prone is where you face down. I'm going to bring the foam roller so that way it's going to fall where my hip's going to fall. I'm going to bring my hip, so the front, right below the hip bone right here, I'm just going to bring the foam roller to this spot right here, or bring my hip to the foam roller in that spot. And so I'm just going to come down into that spot. My right leg is extended behind me and just relaxed. I'm gonna place my hands on the floor. So my right elbow is on the floor and it's just below my shoulder. Okay, so nice and supported in my upper body. My shoulder is supported by my elbow. And then my hand could be, you know, out to the side, could be in front of me, it could be wherever. I'm not really too concerned with that, but just make sure your elbow is underneath your shoulder, okay? My left hand, I'm just gonna place it, you know, on the floor right here. You could do a few things, but I'm gonna place it just in the space, maybe behind the elbow area, but just out to the side. And then most importantly, my left knee is gonna come out to the side of the foam roller. So it's up just a little bit higher than the foam roller because I'm gonna use my left knee, my right elbow to move around and roll out here, okay? So also too, what you could do is bring your left elbow to the floor and then maybe clasp your hands. Maybe you have a bolster right here. You could place a bolster in between your hands or your arms, your forearms and your head. That way then you can rest your head here. So I'll show you with a block kind of what that looks like. So you could be like this and allow your head just to fall onto the bolster. So that's nice, so you can relax your neck, right? But what's most important is that we keep our alignment here in this position very secure and supported, because you know, even though we're over here rolling out, opening up one part of our body, it's really easy for us to compensate and cause pain or problems in a different area. And so this is, you know, like a plank. We have to stay in this plank position. We're not just falling and sinking into it. We need to move around. So having good posture and proper alignment is number one. It's always key. So my elbows are on the floor underneath my shoulders. You can have one up, that's fine. You can, you know, twist your body to the side, that's fine, perfectly fine too. Most importantly, we will have to be sure that our bellies stay nice and strong here because we are lifted away from the floor. So keeping your body nice and strong in your torso to support your back. Otherwise what happens is I just hammock my back. And we don't want to do that. That's not good for your back. So we want to keep our bodies nice and strong here. I'm kind of pulling my tailbone down just a little bit. My left knee is up. And so what I want is for my left hip to be relaxed, okay? I want it to be soft. So if you need to pull your knee out a little bit, if you need to move it down a little, if you need to bring it up higher, that's fine. I don't mind what you do. There's no proper way to do it. It's just about finding relaxation in these poses. So be sure that you're not just stiff and tense, right? We want to be able to just soften, let gravity take over, and find some ease here. Find some ease in this maybe discomfort, okay? And so make sure that you, at least the rest of your body, can be comfortable and supported while we focus on releasing and opening this area of the hip flexors, okay? And so my knee is up, left knee is up, my right foot is just extended out. I'm on the top of my feet, or the top of my foot, and my leg is just heavy here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is just allow my left knee and my right elbow, maybe your left elbow if that's down too, just to allow yourself to rock, just forward and back. I'm not going side to side right now. I'm just going forward and back. Little baby increments. So you're just barely moving here, okay? You're just moving forward and back. My knee is lifted away from the floor just so that way then I can move without just rubbing my knee. So you could also have it up on a bolster if you want, not too high up though, we want it a little bit lower. You could have, you know, whatever's comfortable for you. You can just, I'm on the tops of my feet here, my right foot, and I'm lifting the knee up just a little just to allow to move back and forth and find the area of tension, okay? And so I'm just on the hip flexor. And what I'm doing with my leg, because you do want to go towards the outside of the hip flexor and the inside, and as we do this with the quad as well. So really important how you keep this lined up. You're going to rotate your leg, your back leg. You're going to rotate it internally and externally. And what that means is you're going to just twist the leg. So you're just going to roll it, okay? So internal rotation would be you're lifting the inside all the way from the hip socket. So the entire leg, from the hip socket to the heel, the entire leg is going to rotate out, so away from your body. You're not moving your leg out, you're not lifting and moving it. All you're doing is just rotating it out. So your heel is going to fall more towards the outside. But don't just move your heel, you want to move your entire leg, right? Your knee and your foot want to be facing the same direction. And again, just rotate and then let it fall, okay? You can just roll in that area. So what that does is it allows us to move to the outside of the hip flexor. We're not on the abductors. We're not on the outside of the hip. We're just on the outside. We just roll just a little bit around the hip flexor, just more to the outside of it. And then what we're going to do now is lift the heel and then rotate it externally. So we're going to rotate the inside of the leg down and then moving the heel all the way to the top of the leg in. And there's not much movement here, but you can lift your leg and move it out a little bit, so out to the right side, and then externally rotate it a little bit and see if that does anything, if you could feel any tension in there. And so again, all we're doing here is just relaxing the leg, maybe lifting a little bit to move back or move up and down, okay? And just little lifts here. And then what I'm going to do now is just roll my body up just a little bit higher. You could also just lift your body up and move the roller down just a little. And then we're just going to move the roller down to kind of like the top of the quad, the lower flexor, but the top of the quad where all that connects right there. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to internally rotate the leg. So I'm moving my heel to the outside, all the way up to the hip flexor. It's all rotating out. So the inside of the leg is moving up, rotating up. And then again, relax the leg. Try to soften the upper body, keeping the belly nice and firm. So making sure that you don't stiffen the shoulders up, keep length in the neck. If you're up and you're not on a bolster here, just making sure that your neck doesn't just fall, right? We don't want to hurt ourselves. We want to keep our belly nice and strong, keep our neck up. If you're on the side here, what I like to do is, because we're stretching and rolling out for such a long period of time here, we can get a little bit tired, especially during this rolling out. And so what I do is I draw my shoulder up and then I let my head fall on my shoulder. And that'll just keep my head supported just while I'm doing this rolling out here for a second. It's really nice to have a bolster just to lay on here, okay? And so we're just moving down the leg. I'm just moving my body up. And again, I'm just rolling forward and backwards just a little bit. Also, what you could do, which we're going to do a little bit more when we get into the lacrosse ball, but I want you to curl your toes under and lift, so straighten the leg. So we're pulling the knee up towards the sky, but our foot's still curled on the floor. So what we're doing is stretching the front hip flexor and the quad. We're creating a little bit more stretching in that area and firming it a little. And what that does is when we're soft, the foam roller goes deeper. And when we firm it and the foam roller is already deep in there, it kind of tricks it. It stiffens around the foam roller, so we go even deeper. And so it's good to contract, and we're doing this contraction, stretching, and then relaxing. Contraction, stretching, relaxing. So sit, relax for a few minutes or a few seconds, and then go ahead and lift the knee, firm the quad, and then contract it, move, find an area that feels tense, and then again, relax, find a different area that feels tense, and you just want to go into that spot that just feels like you're rolling over rocks. You know, it just feels really tight, really, really hard to be into, and that's the area that needs the most work. So rolling out is just, it's not comfortable. It's not good to feel like, you know, you're in pain. You don't want to feel like it's unbearable pain. So with that, you may need to adjust your body a little bit. You may need to come up a little bit higher. You may need to, you know, go onto the tops of the toes and have, you know, a pillow under you so you can relax a little bit higher up so you're not just sinking too deeply into the roller. Whatever it may be, find what works for you, but you know, just know that this is not comfortable. There's going to be a little bit of discomfort and tension, and those are the areas that actually need the most work. So we need to sit with it and roll out and stay on it until it feels like it's loosening up. And key is to breathe. We have to keep breathing. If our bodies are stiff, if we don't breathe right, we stiffen up, you know, mentally, internally, and then our bodies will stiffen up as well. And if we stiffen up, we're never going to open up. So, you know, it's that mind-body connection. So we got to keep breathing to allow the mind to say, hey, we're okay, and then our body will say, oh, okay, we'll open up a little bit now. And so, you know, here I am moving down just a little bit. The foam roller is going down a little bit further. You can just keep moving your body up higher if you want. I'm moving so I stay in screen, but, you know, and all I'm doing is just moving it closer, and now I'm completely on my quad, so I'm kind of at the mid quad here, and I'm just moving it up and down. That's all. Just with the foam roller, all you can really do is just move up and down here, and I'm just internally rotating the leg to come to the outer parts of my quad, and then externally, which isn't much of a rotation because of how I'm positioned, but you can move your left leg out, your left knee out just a little bit, and then rotate a little bit more externally. It allows for more space. And so you just want to stay here and maybe move to the bottom of just above the knee. Same thing. The thing with the quad, you guys can keep going. The thing with the quad is that, you know, you have the lateral part of the quad, which is we're on the front of the leg here, just the front quad. We have the lateral part, which is the outside of the quad. We have just this top area, right? And this gets close to your T-band area. So we have the outside, we have the top, and then we have the inside of the quad where we're working really close with the inside of the leg here, right? Or our inner thigh. And so we need to make sure that we get up and down all areas. So there's 3 areas. So it should take some time to do this. You can't expect to roll this, go here, go there, and you're done. It's going to be like you got to get the outside, or what you could do is just do the top portion, get the outside, the top, and the inside, and then go to the middle portion. And then again, you're working with areas that are tight. You need to stay on it a little bit longer. So noticing where that area is, you know, is different for different parts of the body. So just being aware and being conscious, okay? So anywho, that's how we do the foam roller. So I'm gonna put my little foam roller to the side, and now I want you guys to grab your lacrosse ball. And again, remember, if lacrosse ball is just like, for you, just too intense, use your blanket, and you know, you could fold it a few times, you could fold it just, you know, a couple times, and just start there and see if that works for you. And we're just going to move our body. You don't have to move the ball with this, so you're moving everything all the time. You can just lift your body up and go to different areas of the quad and the hip flexor. But I'm going to move this off to the side. You may also too notice that different areas that you're rolling out may be tenser than other areas, and so you're like, okay, well, that's great, this is really intense. Maybe it's so unbearable that you might need to double up on this. So maybe you're just like this, and maybe you get to an area where you're like, I can't even deal with this, but it needs the work. So maybe just fold this over one more time so it allows a little bit more cushion, okay? Because we do want to allow comfort to be able to work in those areas, okay? So that's just rule of thumb with this guy. So again, I want you to place your ball on the floor. We're gonna come back to our prone, and we're gonna come right onto the ball. And what I'm going to do is same thing. I'm going to come onto my elbow, my right elbow, and then my left hand is pressing onto the floor. My right foot is extended straight out behind me. My entire leg is extended behind me, and I'm just going to press on my left palm to bring my left knee up and out to the side. So this time I'm going to want to really move my knee in closer to my body and out to get to different parts of the hip flexor with the lacrosse ball, because lacrosse ball is very small, and so we're going to have to, you know, be able to, when it's up, our body's rotating out to the left side a little bit more, so we're getting more on the outside of the hip flexor, right, or the quad or whatever it may be, wherever we are. And then when you extend the leg out away from your body, we're turning more towards the floor, so we're more in this, you know, facing down position, this prone position. So let's start right in the middle. So my knee is going to be out to the side just enough so that I can be kind of in the middle here, and I'm just going to find that area that feels like, and my hip flexors, so the area just feels really tight. And again, my toes are uncurled. Now I'm closer to the floor, so again, you can use a bolster. You can have your hands out to the side of the bolster, or just whatever works for you, but you can allow your head just to fall to the bolster, or you could just be up on your elbows again, under your shoulders, have your hands clasped. what I'm gonna do here is move my body side to side. So I have this ball just digging into my hip here, okay? Breathe into it, keep your belly firm. So we don't want a hammock, right? We want to keep our belly firm. Even though we're close to the ground, we're still elevated. So keeping your belly firm, keeping your shoulders down so we're not riding up and tense up here. So keep the shoulders down, keep the neck neutral, whether you're up on a bolster, whether you're, you have the bolster here and you just want to rest your head on it. Try to keep comfort in your neck. So don't strain your neck, don't have it cranked back, don't have it just hanging, too much tension. We want to allow for comfort, okay? And again, proper alignment. I say it all the time, but really important. So what I'm going to do is use my elbows to sway. I'm swaying just side to side. So I'm just moving my upper body all the way down to my torso. My hips are staying where they're at. I'm not actively holding them down, but I'm just actively pulling my upper body from side to side. I'm just using my elbows just to kind of like a windshield wiper, very slowly moving side to side. Keep breathing, keep the belly, strong to support the lower back. And all this is doing is allowing allowing for the lacrosse ball to move, just micro hair movements, just side to side on the hip flexor, just around the hip flexor, right? We're not on the quad here, and it's just opening up just enough, just allowing your body to maybe possibly soften, and also to allowing you to notice which area of the hip flexor feels a little bit tight. And so for me, it's the outside. And so I'm gonna bring my knee out just a little bit. Actually, no, I'm going to bring my knee in just a little bit, lifting my left hip up just a touch. And remember, I'm going to internally rotate my leg. So I'm pulling my knee and my heel. My knee is lifting up, right? It's rotating up. And my heel is rotating out to the outside. And so my entire inside of my leg is rotating up while the outside is rotating down. And so what that's doing, and then I relax it. Right? Uncurl the toes and then relax. And again, what I'm going to do here is just curl my toes under, lift the knee up just enough to be able to create that flexion, that stretch, right? It's a stretching in the hip flexor. And so it's stretching into this ball, and it's just really getting deep down in there. And then again, I'm just going to relax the leg down, move maybe side to side again. And I'm just doing this. All I'm doing is just going side to side, right? When I'm relaxed on it, and then curl the toes under, lift the hip, firming the leg up away from the floor, just enough till you can handle it, and then maybe moving up and down. We're rocking forward and backwards here just a little bit. And then again, relaxing, moving side to side, maybe noticing where it's tight again. So we're driving to the spot that's tight, and then we're just firming into it and relaxing it, okay? And what I want you to do is just do this, more so in your hip flexors, and we can work our way all the way down a little bit more. Maybe I'm moving my body up a little bit higher, and so the ball, or you can lift up if you're on a towel, you can lift up and just move the ball down just a touch. So again, I'm still on the hip flexor where it's about to connect to my quad. And so again, I'm just going to move side to side here, right? And then I'm going to just move side to side. It feels good to do this. And then curl my toes under, firm the knee away from the floor, straightening the leg, and then just rocking forward and backwards, right? And just moving a little bit. So you're just moving around a little bit, and then relax again, move side to side. Right, this time as you go down, you may want to move your hips a little bit more, right? Your hips can get involved with moving side to side just a little bit. And you're just moving down the leg. So again, I'm going to move the ball down a little bit. So now I'm getting more into the quad, and so we need to make sure that we really rotate that leg. So I'm going to internally rotate my leg, get the outside of the quad. I'm going to rock, right? I'm curling my toes under, and I'm rocking back and forth. And then relax. I find that spot, and I relax, and then I'm just going to, again, sway side to side. Breathing, maybe lifting, firming, moving front and back. And we're just going up and down here. So again, I want to rotate in externally now. So I'm going to move my left knee out and begin to rotate my leg, the inside of my leg down. And that way I'm getting more the inside of my quad. Okay, not too much because we don't want to go onto the inside of the leg yet. We're not going into the inner thigh. Just a little bit of the medial quad. And so we're just going to do this all the way down. So I'm going to keep moving this down, go top portion, go middle. The ball's really tiny. It's just little tiny increments, so it does take more time. But make sure, and as you come to more the bottom of the quad, maybe the middle of the quad, you'll notice it's really hard just to relax onto it. So maybe keeping the toes curled under and firming the leg, and then just softening the leg. You don't necessarily have to let gravity take over and uncurl the toes, because it does get a little bit intense. And so again, just using your body to move up and down, right? And then swing side to side here, maybe moving your hips side to side, getting into those areas all the way down. So we're gonna move those all the way down. We're gonna do it all the way down to the knee. And the same thing on the knee, right above the knee. We're just going to go side to side, front and back, firming, lifting, relaxing, same thing. Make sure you do the inside, the outside. So that's 101 on how to do the myofascial self-release, okay? It's really intense, takes a lot of time, so just prepare and take some time out of your schedule. And you know, it can be really intense when you're doing it, but you will notice a huge difference after, okay? I promise you. If you dedicate your time to this and lean into this discomfort feeling, not like, oh, unbearable pain, like I said, like, oh, I can't do this, I feel like, you know, I'm gonna pass out. I don't want that. I would just want you to be able to find some comfort in this discomfort, okay? And breathing through it, be able to breathe, and then just, you know, spend the time with it and focus your mind, focusing, maybe imagining. What I like to do is imagine what's happening. So I'm imagining the quad and I'm just visualizing, you know, I'm not looking literally, I'm just having this image in my head. I'm just visualizing this ball just moving, and I'm imagining. You ever hear if you see something, usually it'll happen. And so if you just visualize it opening up, it's kind of a way to connect with it and see it happening. And then sometimes it just kind of naturally becomes an instinct, instead of like, oh, is it there yet? Or, oh, I have to move. You just naturally go through it. So I don't know, just a little food for thought that works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Also too, it's really nice because it focuses the mind. It's distracting, and it allows you to relax and not feel so anxious around it, because right, we get a little bit anxious when we're doing this stuff. So okay, so let's come into our stretches. I'm gonna show you easier first. So we don't need anything here except for maybe have your block. If you have your block, you can use a block, and then have your foam roller too. If you don't have a block, just use your foam roller. Okay, so I'm just gonna lay this out to the side here. We're gonna use that. Let me show you the very easiest first. All we're gonna do is lay supine. So we're gonna lay on our backs, and then just extend our legs out in front of us. No need to stiffen anything right here. We're just gonna come into our alignment, because alignment is, you know, support and alignment is super important for deep tissue, but also too for stretching, right? We don't want to stretch in bad alignment, because then we're not really stretching. We're teaching our body the wrong patterns, and we don't want to do that. We're cheating that way. So let's do all the right way. So starting with laying down, this is the easiest way, okay? So I want to draw my tailbone down, and then I'm not creating this huge, you know, lift in my lower back. So I want to create more of a neutral spine, natural curve. So pull the tailbone down, and then I'm going to tuck my shoulder blades under, and then not dramatically, just pulling them under a little bit, and then pull my shoulders down, create length in my neck, out through the top of the head, the crown of the head, and then just come into this comfortable, natural lengthening position. So we're not shrinking, we're feeling kind of weightless here, but long, okay? We want to feel no pressure in the lower back. We don't want to feel tenseness, okay? And so all we're going to do, this is the easy one, we're just going to maybe firm your right leg. So we're going to keep our right leg stretched out in front of us, and we're going to begin to lift our left knee up towards our outer chest, okay? So you can go ahead and wrap your hands around it. You can grab it with one hand, keep your right hand, maybe extend it out to the side, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. But it doesn't matter if your toe is flexed on the left foot, it doesn't really matter. But I want you to keep your right heel dragging into the floor, so you're actively keeping it just energizing into the floor, okay? So we're pulling down into the floor. And what that does is it keeps the back of the leg active and opens up the front of the leg just a little bit more. So we're going to keep our right knee up, and what happens is our left hip will want to ride up. So we're going to draw our left hip down, keep our tailbone pulling down, and just breathe. Find that softness. Deep inhale, exhale, soften the ribs down, maybe drawing everything, firming into the center of the body, the abdomen. Again, just finding some release here, okay? And so what we're doing is we're opening up. By pulling this up, we're opening up and stretching our right hip flexor here. You would think it's the left. We're massaging the left hip flexor a little bit, but we're actually opening up our right hip flexor. And so, you know, just keeping the alignment going. And anytime we go into a stretch, we want to make sure we go through the checklist of pulling, you know, whatever that is. Right now it's pulling the tailbone down, keeping the left hip pulled down, you know, finding length in the body, finding ease here, okay? Keeping the left or the right heel pulling into the floor to activate the back of the leg, to open the front of the leg up, okay? So this is a little bit easier variation. Let me go into a little bit more intense here. If you're feeling like, I don't feel anything in my hip flexor, well, here, we could do this. So a couple of things. You could use your block. I'll show you how to use the block. It's the same way. It's just either you can use your block. So I'm going to pull my knees up. My feet are flat on the floor. I'm going to lift my hips up. I'm going to draw the block underneath my sacrum area, right? So whatever works for you. And then just extend your legs out. Again, pulling the tailbone down, creating length in the upper body, maybe lifting the heart up a little bit more. We don't want to bend in the lower back. We want to create a little bit more bending in the upper body. So creating length through the neck, right? Pulling the shoulders in and down, so then you have the space in the neck, and then your heels are, you know, pulling into the floor here. Again, what we're going to do is draw that left knee up. So we're in this position, drawing it up, and we're going to grasp onto this. If you don't have a block, same thing, and I'm going to show you the same thing. You're going to use your foam roller. It's the same exact thing. You're just going to pull it underneath your sacrum, maybe pulling it down a little bit. Everybody's body is so different, so just finding what works for you, okay? And then just extending the legs out in front of you, and again, pulling your tailbone down, making sure your belly is nice and firm, making sure you're not just dipping into lower back, drawing your left knee up into your chest. And again, you should feel a little bit more opening. And don't feel like you need to crank your knee up. This is not about how high you can get your knee. This is just about opening that flexor up and just feeling a sensation there, okay? So keeping your left hip pulling down a little bit, keeping the belly nice and firm to support your back as well. And we're just going to breathe here. Maybe keeping your toes, you can flex them if you like, but we're keeping the heel into the floor. That way then we feel a sensation in our front hip flexor. So this is variation number 2, okay? This is a little bit more intense for this, you know, the supine position. So let's come on up, and I do suggest you stay in that for, you know, a few minutes on each side if you're going to do, you know, both sides, or you want to, it's always good to myofascial one side and then stretch that side and then go to the other side, myofascial that side, and then myofascial that side, and then stretch that side. So do it separately. And so I suggest maybe doing the right side first and then spending some time with it and then going, you know, through each stretch and then going to the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a little bit more intense stretch. And this one, maybe grab you can use your blanket. Using your blanket's really nice because we're going to be on our knees. So let's just come into a kneeling position, put your blanket on the floor, place your right knee on top of the blanket, and then what we're going to do is you can place your hands on the floor. We're just going to lift our left knee out in front of us. So we're coming into a lunge here, okay? So I'm going to draw myself back so you can see me a little bit more. So my left foot is uncurled. It's just out flat. My right knee is above my left heel. I'm sorry, my left knee is above my left heel. My right knee is on the floor, right? It's pulling back just a little bit to open it up. So what happens here is we're going to lunge. When we're going to lunge, it just wants to dip. See how my back is dipping right there? So I'm just going like this. That's not what I want to do. What I want to do is press, so pulling my tailbone down again, pressing my sacrum into my body, okay? Pressure's a little bit on my front heel. Okay, my knee is pointed the same directions as the middle of my foot, so it's not out to the side. You have to be very careful about that. I'm pulling my left hip. My legs are kind of pulling in towards each other, towards the midline, and I'm lifting up through my pubis, up through the center of my body, okay? So I really feel an opening in my right flexor, okay? Again, I'm not going to dip into my lower back. I want to create space in my lower back, so that neutral spine, I want to try to maintain that. If you feel okay, you can walk your left foot forward just a little bit, like toes and then heel drag, and pull a little bit more forward. So you could go a little bit forward to open up your psoas a little bit more, okay? And or your hip flexor, your psoas, like all these areas a little bit more. And so again, when you go into this Kapyasana where we're maybe arching back just a little bit, we're opening up the hip flexor, pulling the tailbone down, lifting the heart, just creating length, opening up the front body just a little bit more. When we lift our hearts and open the front, the chest up, we're pulling a little bit more on the hip flexor. We're opening that up just a touch bit more. Maybe extending your arms out to the side and lifting your arms up this time. Again, pulling your tailbone down, just reaching, lifting through your heart, keeping the shoulders away from the body, so pulling them away from the body, spinning your triceps forward to protect your shoulders, and just staying here. You're going to feel a lot of energizing out through your left, your hamstring here, your left leg. You're going to feel lots of energy building there. Keep that hip curling underneath, pulling in towards your body. And then when you're ready, you can extend your arms out to the side, place your hands on the floor, lift your leg to meet. So you're kneeling, meet your right knee. So that's one way to do Kapyasana. Another way to intensify this is to, make sure that you have your area that you're going to tie up your band. So let me show you how to do this. I have to adjust a little bit. And I'm going to just move my mat to the side here. So grab your strap here, and what you want to do is face this little area that you're going to strap your strap up to. So face it, and then I'm going to use my rope because I'm outside. So just pretend that I'm tying this around like the leg of a chair or something like that. And so here's my strap. I'm strapped up here. And so same thing, my knee is going to come onto the floor here, and then my left leg's going to come up. But what I'm going to do with my strap is I'm going to put my band, my strap, around my right leg, so it's going to pull from behind, so it's in the butt crease here. And so the strap is just pulling right into the butt crease, so it's right here underneath my butt. And so what that's going to do is I'm going to bring my hands to the floor, lift my left leg up to come back into my lunge. My right leg is back, okay? And if I feel this and I'm like, that's not enough tension, I need more, what I can do is bring my right knee back just a little bit further. So use my toes to drag my knee back and then pull back a little bit further. So what this does is, obviously this band is putting pressure behind my hip flexor, and it's just pulling. It's a rubber band, it's pulling. So there's a lot of weight because it's pulling my body forward. So I'm pressing back with my left heel, bone down, drawing my legs in towards each other, pulling my hips, closing my hips in towards each other, lifting up. So same old stuff. The only difference is now the band is pulling on this hip flexor, really intensifying the stretch here. It's really opening it. And what that's good for is that, you have where you're stretching and this area is opening, right? It's collapsing, opening. We have that little capsule in there, and there's all these little tissues in there, very, very deep tissues. And it's nice to stretch, but we're kind of missing those areas right around the capsule. And so what this does is it really just pulls it open. And so we're not only stretching all the tissues, all the muscles, but we're getting the deepest layers of the tissues and creating space in that area. And so the band is kind of like the most intense, way that you can get into a stretch, and it's nice because you can start out a little bit lighter, so you can put more tension on the band as you feel more comfortable with it, okay? And so here we're going to come into a more intense stretch, and that is we're going to come into our King Arthur. And so what I want you guys to do is come up to your wall. So you're going to come up to your wall now, and then back up to your wall. Maybe grab because you're going to be on your knees again, so grab your towel, okay, place it on the floor. And we're going to bring our right knee, because we're stretching our right side, so our right knee is going to come up towards the wall. Now, how close you get to the wall just depends on your flexibility in this area. There's no right or wrong way. Don't feel like, you need to get frustrated if you're not so close to it. It's just different for everybody, okay? And what we want to do is just try to get close enough so we're going to be able to stay neutral with our spine, neutral with our body. Proper alignment as always. Okay, we're going to come upright and stretch out that front hip flexor again, okay? It's just a little bit more intense because we're going to lift our lower leg up onto the wall, okay? So let me show you how to do it. So I'm going to come a few inches away from the wall. My knee is a few inches away from the wall. I'm bringing my right foot up to the wall, okay? My hands are on the floor. Again, I'm going to pull my left leg out in front of me. My knee is over my heel. Here I am. I'm in my, my King Arthur here. And so I feel a lot of stretching in my quad all the way up to my hip flexor. So this is where I'm going to draw my tailbone down, lift up through the body, through the spine, through the crown of the head, pulling the hips in towards each other. Same old alignment. My foot's on the floor. If at any point you feel any tension on the knee and it feels like it's too much for the knee, come forward just a little bit more. Okay, you don't need to be so close to the wall. So come forward a little bit more. Most importantly, what we want to do is pressing our sacrum into our body to keep that hip flexor nice and open here, okay? and keep the alignment. So we're not just dipping into our lower back. So I want to keep everything nice and aligned here. So just pressing the sacrum in, pulling the hips in towards each other. This is really going to open up your front hip flexor. And again, you can lift the arms up to the side and reach up. Deep inhale here, reaching through the side body, right, or the crown of the head, making sure your triceps are rolling forward, your shoulders are not, up in your ears. Want to be soft down. So same old thing, you can extend it out to the side and down. And I do want you guys to stay in that for, a few minutes if possible, maybe set a timer. And so that's a King Arthur. And so there is a way to intensify this if this is just feeling, if you got your knee all the way up to the wall and you feel like, oh, this is not enough, I'm pretty flexible, I need a little bit more. Firming, keep your tailbone down, keep activating that left leg. You want to keep firming, keep pressing, keep the tailbone, nice and pressing into the body. But what I want you to do next would be to use your band, okay? The only tricky thing is that we need the wall and then we need something to tie the band up to. You need to make sure that you are able to get that thing to move back if it's not enough tension. And so this can get a little bit tricky, but if you have a way to do this, that would be great. So I'm gonna pretend that I have this band strapped to something. I'll show you how to do it. It's the same thing. You're gonna bring this band around to go into the butt crease of the right hip flexor, because that's what we're doing. So, and then I have it strapped up to something over here. If you come up to your King Arthur here and you're in your proper King Arthur and this is strapped up and you're like, this is not enough tension, you can come out of it and push that thing back just a little bit further to create more tension here, okay? And again, that's just pulling forward. So it's just pulling forward and opening up that capsule just to really get into a deep, a very deep tissue massage there. And you could do this, you don't have to have your foot up against the wall. You could do this against a couch. You can come onto your couch as well, to the top of your couch, and have this latched onto something close by there if you have something more accessible there. So these are my stretches. These are really good ones. There's so many more, and I'll probably have videos coming out for those as well. But for now, these are my favorites. These are really good ones. Try doing these often. If you try doing this a few times a week, you'll notice you'll open your body up and you'll feel a little bit better. Okay, and remember, this didn't happen overnight. This is not something that, you got tight all of a sudden. You were born, you got tight. It's like we're born more flexible and more open, and over time, and it's not a fault. It's just, we get used to our daily routines, our work, or, our lifestyle, whatever it may be, and it's just, maybe we're more focused on staying fit and staying strong, and, it's about. So if we do that, which I'm guilty of, I spent all these years, in fitness, just exercising and just working out and lifting weights, and then I became, so tight, and it's the balance. It's so important to have the balance. And so, it takes a little bit longer because we do get less flexible as we get older. And so as we get older, it's going to take more time and more patience mentally. And so, breathing, taking the time, being consistent. So doing this, making the effort to do this as a routine, and it's time consuming. So spending the time, if you're gonna watch TV, maybe sit down and do this, you'll feel so much better. You will, I promise you, if you just stay consistent with it. And like I said, if something's not working and it keeps going back to pain, go to step 2, look for the next thing, and then go to, keep stretching, keep doing and working that area, but try maybe strengthening the side of the hip, try that. So, it's just about being aware of what's going on and making the effort and staying consistent, okay? And don't hold yourself to this standard or this, I should be this or I should be doing this. Don't ever do that. Just take the time, do it, and be proud, be happy for yourself, just make the effort. And that's all you need, because we don't want to go backwards. And by stiffening up and feeling guilty or anything like that, there's no reason to feel guilty about that. Just all you can do is control what you do from here on out. And so, it's just the way it is. And just try to, make some effort, notice it. And if it's 5 minutes that you spend, then it's 5 minutes that you spend. That's fine. That's better than nothing. Thing today or tomorrow, that's fine. Maybe try to add a little bit more than the next day if you can. So just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just take the time, find some time, be happy, appreciate yourself, show some gratitude for yourself for even noticing it in the first place, and just be consistent. Okay, be consistent with just noticing it, and then maybe eventually you'll find time to put some effort into it. So anyways, I just want to say thank you so much again for letting me show you this and guide you through this. This was one side, so very important. Be sure to do the other side. And I walked you through this really quick. I know my videos are kind of long. I always have a lot to say, but you know, it's for a reason. I really want to help you, or help you understand at least, and then kind of set you on your own to be able to work on this. And you know, you always have the option to do the other side with me, so you can rewind this and just do the other side with me and fast forward through my talking. But yes, I do hope that you you know, continue with this, and just keep an eye out for my other videos. Make sure you balance it out with the other sides, okay? And the abductors and the adductors and so on from there, okay? So namaste.